Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Gavarecki with Hub Truck Rental, and I want to thank you for joining me today on this medical certification requirements. Um, Before I get started, I would like to begin with this subject has come up over and over and over again over the past year. There is a lot of confusion. What to do, what's the driver to do, does he mail it in, send it via email or fax, how long? So hopefully I can clear all that up today. Um, you know, before I get started, I also had to deal with the Med Certification Unit for the New York State DMV myself. I do hold the CDL, and I did recently get a new medical card, emailed it, and there were some issues that I found myself. So I'll be showing you the proper steps, how to rectify the problem. This way there are no downgrades. So let's get started here. The med certification and where New York State is today. So before I start reading this off, basically this was a regulation that was sent, a federal regulation that was sent to all the states. This was basically pushed on all the states to comply. Every state is doing it a little differently. Ultimately, it's supposed to work, whereas when you take your car for an inspection, the data will automatically get uploaded to the DMV. But that's not occurring with the med certification. What's happening is you're getting the card, and the driver themselves have to send the data to DMV themselves. So there's no automatic upload. That's not going to happen, I think, until 2018. So it's going to be quite a bit of time, and I'm sure a lot of confusion. So the federal med certification regulation is fully implemented. The drivers themselves are responsible for sending updated medical cards to the DMV. The DMV is responsible for collecting and recording medical card information to the driver's license record. Downgrade notifications. They're sent out daily to drivers with expired medical cards. I spoke to the med certification unit today, and they are sent out the day after the medical card expires. So basically, it's too late. They generally have 55 days from when the letter is sent before a CDL license is downgraded. And of course, downgrades occur daily for drivers who do not comply with the downgrade notifications. So updated medical cards, what do you do? This is coming directly from New York State DMV. They want you to send your updated medical card directly to the DMV Med Certification Unit at least 20 days prior to the expiration date of their current medical card. You can email it, you can fax it, or you can mail it. Mailing is the least reliable way, and it's going to take the longest amount of time. The Med Certification Unit, I believe they only have 4 to 6 people that cover all of New York State to do the updating. So emailing it and faxing is the best way. And if anybody wants this information, feel free to email me. I have a list of everybody that's attending today. I can send you all the information in a PDF, or the links, phone numbers. This way you have it for yourselves. So once you have updated your medical cards, once you have emailed, faxed, or mailed, which I don't recommend, your updated medical card to the Med Certification Unit, we strongly recommend checking the status of your update through MyDMV, and there's a link for that as well. So I signed up for the MyDMV basically for myself, and also to see how it works. It's free. All you need is your driver's license information. You set your own username and password, and it'll tell you. It's a pretty useful link. It'll tell you what your current license status is. It does not give you an abstract. You have to pay for that. But it does tell you the status. And I'll show you an example after this presentation. But I strongly recommend all CDL drivers to get signed up on mydmv.com. It's a very, very useful website. And instead of waiting on the phone for 20 minutes, half hour on hold to find out about your medical card, you can take a quick peek when the driver gets home at the end of the day or early in the morning. Take a peek, see if everything has been upgraded. If he sees a problem, he or she sees a problem, they can feel free to call. A lot of confusion on this as well. Updating in DMV offices. And can I update my medical card credentials in a DMV office? It's not recommended. Only if you're completing a license transaction. It's the least efficient way to update your record if you don't need to complete a transaction. And they charge a fee. I'm hearing between $20, $30 is the fee to upgrade your medical card. And it's the least efficient way. Waiting online, it doesn't work. This is going to DMV is the last option, and I'll get into that in a moment. So on the downgrade notification, when do I receive a downgrade notification letter? And does that mean I no longer have a CDL? Well, basically it does. Downgrade notifications are sent out when the medical card on file expires with the DMV. The drivers have 55 days from the date the letter was generated before the downgrade happens. The effective date of the downgrade is also on the letter itself. Now keep in mind, this is the only notification a driver will receive prior to the actual license downgrade. The notification will say I'm no longer medically certified to operate any commercial vehicle that's required to drive a commercial, that requires a commercial driver's license. Doesn't mean you necessarily can't drive. It means you can't drive a CDL vehicle. If you don't have an updated medical card, you are not permitted to drive commercially. So that's what that means. If you do have an updated medical card and you have sent it to a copy to the DMV, these are some rulings, and I'll get into my opinion on this as well. Until January 30th of 2015, as long as you're carrying an updated medical card, you can use that as proof. A roadside inspection, a DOT stop. But after January 30th of this year, you can only carry your medical card as proof of medical certification for up to 15 days from the date of the issuance of the medical card. Okay? So basically they're saying you no longer have to carry a medical card. It should be updated with the state. Here's my thing, carry it anyway. I strongly recommend all drivers carry that card. If they're a CDL driver, carry that card just in case. The more information, the better. So what is a driver to do if their license has been downgraded? Once a downgrade occurs, a driver must go to a DMV office, and it's called amend back to a CDL. Once your current medical card expires, the med certification unit cannot amend your license back to a commercial status. So once that happens, you have to go to the DMV. That's only after it expires.
Hello. How you doing?
So important things to remember if your license is downgraded, the CDL in your possession is no longer valid. A new non-CDL license is not mailed to you. And if you no longer want your CDL, you may request a replacement online, and I have the email address. I highly doubt people are going to give up their CDL. Amendment back to a CDL must be done in person at a DMV office, and this is when the fee will apply. So just keep in mind, once you get that downgrade notification and a driver has not gotten a new medical card, and then he goes and gets a new one, he can't just send it in. He has to go to DMV. That's the point of no return, okay? The med certification unit cannot amend the license. That's when an amendment fee will apply when they go to a DMV office. And a reminder, the medical examiner's certificates issued on or after May 21st, 2014 must be issued by a doctor on the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners. Basically, you can look it up on the link provided here. It works basically like a store finder. You put in your zip code, it'll give you a list of doctors. There are plenty in the tri-state area, so you never have to worry. But just make sure that the doctor that driver is going to see is on the registry. If they're not, the medical card will not be accepted. They all have their own, basically a license number. So they have to go to that link, make sure they're on it, and it gives you all the information for the doctor, the phone number, the email. So like I said, after this presentation, I'll be sending a copy to everyone. This way you have all this information for yourselves. Make sure your doctor also provides you with your medical cards so you can send it to DMV. Doctors are not sending this information to DMV electronically at this time. Keep that in mind. There's been a lot of confusion on that. Eventually it will happen. They're saying, I believe, by the summer of 2018. So in the next 2-3 years, it's going to be this way. So we have to deal with it. This was a federal regulation pushed on all the states, and I can say surrounding states, there's been, New York State is, as confusing as New York State is, they give you the most options to get the medical card in. Important reminder is the drivers are responsible for keeping a valid, unexpired copy of the medical card on file at the DMV at all times. There's confusion on this. Is it on part of the employer or the driver? Well, it works the same way as a driver's license. This is the driver's responsibility. They have to do this. You can help them, but this is on the driver. All right. Fax, email, or mail your updated medical card certification to the Med Certification Unit. Allow 20 days for your information to be updated. I wouldn't allow 20 days. If you fax or email it, I would call the next day, and I'll be providing that number to you as well, because that's what I had to do. And I'll give you a brief review of what I had to deal with early this morning. Follow up online through MyDMV to make sure your information was received and has been updated. Make sure your medical card is clear, legible, and completely filled out. There's nothing missing. Mistakes do happen. The doctor can forget to sign it, or the driver can forget to sign it. Maybe the number is not legible. It got smudged. Make sure it's clear. There's been some confusion on this as well. Self-certification driving type. Generally, when they get that form, they want to know what kind of driving type there are. There are 4 different driving types. If the type of driving you do changes, you must visit a DMV office and change the driving type on with the DMV. That generally does not change. The most common, I'll be getting into that in a moment and see what each initials mean, okay? So let's get into the next slide. NI, this is the most common. It's non-accepted interstate. Means you're crossing state lines. That's the most common. That's what most CDL drivers want going into Jersey, Connecticut from this area. This category applies to drivers who operate in the interstate commerce and are subject to the federal qualification requirements. Interstate, again, equals crosses state lines. And then you have accepted in interstate. This applies to drivers who operate in interstate commerce but are exempt from FMCSA regulations. That doesn't really apply to many people. That's like your power utility companies. They would be accepted interstate, farm exemptions. But for the most case, it's the first option, non-accepted interstate, NI. And then you have also, these are both in-state only, non-accepted intrastate, a driver who operates in intrastate commerce and is subject to the state qualification requirements, and that's the state DOT, which in this case would be New York, and accepted. Same, it's a little different, operates in the state only. Most of the time, it's, like I said, non-accepted interstate, NI. That's generally the most common. This is coming right from New York State. These are the most common errors they're receiving. Over 30,000 medical certificates have been rejected by the DMV. And their most common errors include the medical card didn't have a registry number. So all the doctors have to have a registry number. The certificate issue date and expiration date are missing or incorrect, issued for greater than 2 years. 2 years is the maximum. Sometimes if there's medical problems, it's 3 months, 6 months, could be a year. Medical certification is illegible, and medical certification is incomplete. So make sure that card is clear, all the information is correct and readable. There's also the New York State LENS program, which stands for License Event Notification. Employers, I really strongly encourage employers, if they're not doing it, to sign up with LENS now. It's a really good feature. This way it lets you know when a driver's medical card is going to expire or has expired. Any change in that driver's license, they will let you know, whether it's a good or bad, whether it be a ticket or a defensive driving course, or now the medical card. They will let you know via email. And I can provide the information for that as well. There is a small fee. Generally, it works. Basically, you send them a few dollars, and every time you get a notification, they subtract generally $1 for each notification they send you on that driver. And it's a good way of being current, and there are no surprises. And you can also let the driver know. So here's our contact information. Like I said, I'll be sending this. They have really convenient hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 1. That's it. There are 2 different fax numbers. And also, this is the email address that you send for the medical card certification unit. So I had to call them this morning. And I'll get into all the links here. I have all the med certification info, change of address, the FMCSA. I have the link for the LENS enrollment, the MyDMV enrollment, the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners. So right here on this page is pretty much the previous page, and this page should be all the information you pretty much need to get yourself set up and be aware of how to update medical cards. Now we have a presence in Jersey. Jersey, this is it. For those Jersey customers, you can only mail in your medical card. Currently, this is the only option that they're giving you. So, and it works the same way. I would recommend, at least a month. If your card expires in December, like December 1st, get a new one by November 1st and send it in. Get ahead of the curve. Don't get downgraded. As soon as Jersey starts updating like New York State does with available fax and email, I'll be sending that out as well. So let me get to the next part here. And I'm going to give you an example of the MyDMV. So here is basically a shot of MyDMV, and this is my own account. I crossed off some important information. But here's the deal. Down here, tells you the expiration date of your driver's license, and then it'll tell you right here, medical certification status. Expiration date. Mine expires the end of December. I had a medical issue, so I have a follow-up. So mine expired the end of October. It expires the end of October. I got a new one. I have to go back to the doctor. Nothing serious. So it tells me when it expires because they only gave me 3 months. So here's the deal. I sent in my license via email on the 17th of September. This morning, it still was not updated, so I called. When you call that number between the convenient hours of 9 and 1, press option 1. Option 1 is the best way you're going to get a live person. And you're going to wait on hold for about 15, 20 minutes, and you get a live person. I sent mine back September 17th. Was never updated. No reason. I spoke to the person. They did it right over the phone because I followed up with it. All right. I did everything right, but they did not. And I explained why it wasn't done. They couldn't explain. So my advice to you is when that driver sends it in, somebody call up. And here's another thing. If they do email their medical card, in the subject heading, put the driver's first name, last name, and driver's license number. And on the PDF attachment, you can scan your card and send that in as well. Just make sure it's readable. I recommend email is the best way of sending it. This way you can always go back, tell them exactly the date and time you sent it. But this is a really, really good website. It also tells you all your registrations when they expire. If your inspection is going to expire, you can keep an eye on this. But in this case, medical card certifications, this is a really, really convenient feature. So once you send in the card, call the next day. I really don't think you should mail it in because it can take the longest amount of time and more errors. Email, fax, but I strongly recommend email. I did everything right, and still, it was not done properly. So the follow-up is necessary. Anybody have any questions? I think that's pretty much it on this. Like I said, it's pretty useful information. I'm pretty much under the 45 minutes I wanted to give myself for this, but I want to allow some time for questions. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so if there are no questions here, I'll close down this session. Like I said, you have my email and my phone number, and I have a list of everybody here that attended, and I'll be sending you all the information here. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and like I said, if you ever need my assistance, feel free to call me. My hours here from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, and everybody have a great rest of the day. Thank you very much.